One.
Hi, my name's Elisabeth, and if I had to sum up my story, I would say that my two words to describe my life before and after Christ would be empty and hopeful. I grew up in a Christian household. My parents told me about Jesus and how he died on the cross for my sins, and I accepted Christ into my heart when I was 5. It was a simple decision for me to make. Life changed when my mom had my brother, Josh, when I was 10. Even though I already had an older brother and a younger sister, I was really excited to take care of my brother. But a few months after he was born, he was diagnosed with autism. Then when I was 12, my mom gave birth to my sister Lucy, and she was also diagnosed with autism. With autism being a spectrum, Lucy's autism is moderate, while Josh's autism is pretty severe. He's 90% nonverbal and needs assistance and supervision for simple daily tasks. We had to shower him, take him to the bathroom, and we also put a GPS in his pants every day because he's prone to wander. He has left my house and school, so we take extra precautions. After realizing that Josh and Lucy would require extra attention, I made the decision that I was no longer allowed to have any more problems. I thought my parents already had their hands full and they didn't need to worry about another kid. I made what I thought was a sacrificial and loving decision to become self-sufficient and independent. My parents loved my eagerness to help, and I soon stopped being a daughter or a sister in the house. I quickly took on the role of being a nanny or in-house help. Around the same time, I began to deal with depression and anxiety. And while I can now see how I've had depressive episodes and anxious tendencies throughout my entire life, it was when I was 13 that depression and anxiety became part of every day. Terrified of burdening my parents and taking away attention from my siblings, I didn't let anyone in. I prayed to God to take away these feelings of helplessness and purposelessness, but the feelings only intensified. I came to the conclusion that God was either punishing me for not being good enough, or just he didn't care. My self-sufficiency increased, and I felt truly alone. At 16, my parents found out about my depression and anxiety when I had a bad panic attack in front of them. They made me see a Christian counselor, and I hated it. I hated talking about a God I felt abandoned by. I felt incredibly guilty that my parents were paying for counseling and medication, and I felt they should be using that money to take better care of my siblings. I didn't think I was worth the money or attention. I was so upset and ashamed that I wasn't strong enough to pull myself out of my depression, and that my self-sufficiency had limits. It wasn't until I was a senior in high school and seeing a different Christian counselor that she made me process how I was afraid to admit that I felt both hurt by God and that I was angry with him, and the lie that I was believing that I wasn't worthy of help. When I started my freshman year of college, I still didn't know how to reconcile my mental illnesses with God. I joined a campus ministry, mostly because my parents wanted me to. I had this elaborate plan that I would go to the meetings for a month and say that nobody liked me and I would never go again. But once there, I found a community that wanted to know me deeply and wanted to do life with me. My Bible study leader convinced me to go to a retreat, and I was not expecting much. But during one session, God broke down the walls I had kept up for so long, and I finally saw how the gospel was the solution to my hopelessness, worthlessness, and purposelessness. My self-sufficiency couldn't sustain nor deliver me. God doesn't take pleasure in my pain. He weeps with me. By sending his son to die on the cross, he gave me a promise of healing and peace. Today, I still take medication for my depression and anxiety. I see how God made these things to take care of me in a broken and fallen world where physical and mental illness exists. God has delivered me through so much pain and hurt, and I know he will continue to do so. He is faithful. God is Redeemer, Savior, Deliverer, Comforter, and so much more. He is this when I'm having a great day filled with laughs and smiles, and on days when I feel paralyzed by my thoughts and can't get out of bed. My hope is no longer in myself, but the cross.